So do you watch baseball a lot on television now? You do watch the World Series. You think baseball is more exciting than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago? Or you think it's not as exciting?
I don't want to sound like an old player that said it was better when I played than it is now. It's a little bit different game. I'd like to see some of the small ball things, some of the finer points of the game come back, because I think that's an important part of winning one-run games and winning in the playoffs. I think executing at that sort of level is good. I don't know, I can't remember seeing a hit and run play. Used to be a hit and run was a good, valuable tool against, some of the top line pitching, because you can't put a big inning together a lot of times against those guys, because they're not going to give up 2 or 3 hits in a row. So you have to figure out a way, and the hit and run's kind of gone away. The strikeout or whatever else, I can't understand. You keep your A swing alive with 2 strikes, and then you get fooled radically on different pitches and you strike out. But the way it's looked at now is that's just an out. And I'm thinking, give yourself a chance, put it in ball in play, get somebody in from third with less than 2 out by putting the ball in play. Those things add up. So, I think I'd like to see a little bit more of that, and I think you are. Toronto had really good success this year. They had the least strikeouts as a team in the American League. And by putting the ball in play and then running the bases and doing that, it gave them more weapons when the pitchers were really good. So
baseball's changed rules since you played. I think there's a pitching clock now. Do you think that's a plus or a minus, or you don't know?
Well, I had a conversation with the commissioner when they were deciding to do it, and I said, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. And I didn't like the concept of actually putting a clock out there. Now, if you go back, Earl Weaver said baseball doesn't have a clock. You got to get the last out. You got to get the last out of the game somehow to win the ball game. So you can't stall and like in basketball, North Carolina had the 4 corners when they had a game 1. Then there was no shot clock. They could just dribble the ball all around and then force the game to be won. Baseball wasn't like that. So I couldn't picture a clock in baseball. Then I had to tell the commissioner after the first year, I said, I was totally wrong. Because when you put a clock in, they had a rule that you had to throw a pitch by 15 seconds anyway, but the umpires couldn't enforce that because they didn't have a mechanism to do it. So the league really quickly adapted to this concept, and now people get in the batter's box, the pitcher throws the pitch, and the game gets moving, and it's a much more enjoyable game to watch. Harold Reynolds from MLB Network said he went back to the '83 World Series that I was in, and he put a stopwatch on each of the hitters when they came to the plate and wanted to see what the pace of the play is. And we played to the pace of the game now, and we just did it naturally. And it's kind of funny. I was trying to figure out, why is that? Why has this downtime been stretched? And towards the end of my career, walk-up music became popular. So each player, somebody came down from the press box and said, what song do you want me to play when you come to the plate? And I go, I don't want any song, But there was a lot of players that liked that, so they would pick their song. And I remember one or two times sitting out in the defense on an away game and seeing the guy in the on-deck circle. He's still staying in the on-deck circle, not approaching home plate yet. And I'm looking up, and then he looks up at the press box like he was like going, And then they play a song, and then he makes his move up to home plate, says hello to the catcher, does all that kind of swing, puts his gloves on like this, and then gets back in the box. I'm going, the collection of the walk-up music might be one of the culprits. It might be I'm making an entrance to my 4 at-bats, and that downtime might be wasted. But now they still have walk-up music, and they still play it, but now they get up there and get in the box.